Bam! And welcome to the Loving Football Show here on Radio Now, 95.3 FM Lagos. I am your host, Ayo Ali from Gbamm. I'm joined as usual by my colleague Yola Boko here in London. Good evening, Yola.
Good evening, Ayo. Good evening to all our listeners out there. It's been a great week and we've got a great show ahead.
Fantastic. We're also joined as usual by our Oga at the top who has been keeping us waiting, Mr. Nero Adesoya, in the studio in Lagos. Good evening, Nero. How are you?
Good evening, Aya. Good evening, Yola. And of course, good evening, sports fans out there, football-loving fans. Of course, looking forward to a great show.
Yeah, we do have a very special show for you today. We have a true legend of the game as our guest. He'll be joining us a little bit later. I think it's fair to say one of the original Super Eagles, one of the team that took us from being the Green Eagles to the Super Eagles. A special guest. I'm especially looking forward to this. We are also doing a giveaway. We have decided that, clearly 500 Naira airtime is not enough for you people. So we are now giving away 1,000 Naira airtime to the first 10 people who can answer a very simple trivia question. Google is your friend. We will let you know how to get in touch with us, and we will let you know the question coming up later on. So in this first part of the show, what we're going to do is the usual thing. We're going to review the important games that just happened in the past week. And really, there were just two games. So, you lucky people, you're going to hear us talk about the FA Cup final, which happened on Saturday, Man City versus Manchester United, and Man City emerged victorious 2-1, and it looks like the treble is still on. Yola, what did you think of that game? And
it was actually a great game of football. Just before I go into my analysis, just wanted to say that myself and Nero got the scoreline 100% correct.
Oh,
so
wow.
We got the scoreline 2-1 to City.
Yeah.
And Leo said 2-1 to Man United.
I said, yes, I got it wrong.
So you owe something.
Wait. No. Unfortunately, we didn't have a bet going on that one.
Okay.
And we are looking for a company to sponsor us, and any betting company that wants to sponsor us can fulfill Yola's prize ambitions of winning.
Okay, I'll let you have it this week. Okay. But back to the game itself, it was actually a very good game. Obviously, Manchester City dominated the ball. Very early goal from Gundogan, who's toward the latter part of the season has been Manchester City's standout player.
And what a strike!
What a strike to start! What a strike! I was quite nervous for the United team, but they slowly grew into the game, and they were lucky to get the penalty for the Grealish handball.
Well, I mean, it is a contentious point, but technically by the rules, it is a penalty. Yeah. So let us just put that the referee, it's as strange as it may seem, he was simply following the rules.
Yeah, so that obviously gave the United players confidence, and they grew into it. I was quite impressed with how they approached it. They never let their heads drop, even with City having all the possession.
Yeah, they didn't crumble. That's important to say. They kept going. But yeah, City were just a slight class above, weren't they, Nero?
Absolutely. Just like Yola said, I thought the penalty was a bit soft as well, but and like you clarified, technically, based on the rules of the game, the hands were definitely in a natural position, but they were not close to the body.
The ball hit the hand, and in the circumstances, the rules have been changed and are constantly evolving. But the rules state quite clearly that if in the penalty area, if the ball hits the hand, and he was jumping up, so where his hands were supposed to go, I don't know.
That's why I said his hands.
It's within the rules. It's within the rules. I mean, we can.
His hands were in a natural position because when you're jumping, you have to raise up your hand.
Yeah.
You understand, to gain flight. But unfortunately, according to football rules, if your hands are away from your body and the ball hits you, on the hand, in the box, it's penalty. So it was unfortunate, but I love the fact that City, they took it in their stride and continued dominating the game. And I felt that if there was anybody that could stop them from really getting that treble, it would have been Man United, because Man United are specialists when it comes to stuff like this. But they were just too good for Man United.
Yeah, and also Man United there's this whole emotional thing where Man United have bragging rights currently for having won the treble. If Man City win the treble, unfortunately, they don't counsel Man U bragging rights. So, so that, I thought that Manchester United and Ten Hag, because I really rate Ten Hag as a manager, I thought that they would find an effective way to stop City. And while they tried, City just I don't know, they were just a cut above Manchester United. And I think, talking about the penalty, let's be fair. Let's say if that situation happened outside the box, it would not have been a foul. It would have probably just gone with the run of play kind of thing. So, I think on balance, the result was a accurate result. So I owe Yola and Nero. I'm paying.
What do you owe us? Everyone can hear. What do you owe us?
See, hold on. I'm going to tell you. I'm paying you in Amala. That's what I'm paying you.
Well, I don't mind Amala, but where are we getting the Amala? Where are we getting it?
Don't worry. Come to London. I have one joint in Peckham. Alajas.
I'm guessing.
Or next time I'm in Lagos. Next time I'm in Lagos,
okay.
I will hook you guys up with Amala.
We'll remind you.
Yola, I know you will remind me. And you will probably want to collect before other people. Unfairly, again, as usual, as you know the answer to the question. But moving on. The other game we got to look at, and I have to say this one was a really interesting one, was the Europa Conference League final between West Ham United and Fiorentina, which West Ham United won. Some people were commenting on our Facebook page earlier saying, does this mean that West Ham had a more successful season than Arsenal because they won silverware?
Why would you be shooting Arsenal?
I wasn't the one that commented, right? I'm just telling you what the people were saying.
Which people?
Go and read it.
You're not the one.
You're looking for trouble.
No,
exactly.
I'm not looking for trouble. I'm just
what
telling
did
you what
Liverpool win this season?
No. This is not about me.
This is not
about me.
Sorry, I'm not going to give in.
No, it's not that. What I'm saying is West Ham had a very successful season because of this. They qualified for Europe and they won silverware. And so someone who was obviously clearly not an Arsenal fan said, is this a more legitimate? They have a better season than Arsenal. I'll ask you to discuss it, Yola. But just to say, what was really impressive about West Ham's performance in this tournament is they won every single fixture of this tournament. And this tournament is not the most glorious tournament. I think we can agree on that. But it is hard. You play a lot of games in, you're playing in Azerbaijan in winter. It's not or places like, not to denigrate Azerbaijan or any of our great neighbors and paternal, fraternal friends across the sea, in our brothers in football, as we say. But traveling to certain parts to go and play and then winning every fixture home and away is very impressive. And the West Ham stayed up. What did you think of this game, Yola?
Yeah, it was a very good game. Obviously, Fiorentina had the early goal disallowed from, is it Jovic, for offside. So after that, I think the West Ham players grew into the game more, and they've been very, very consistent throughout the Europa Conference League. I'm quite impressed with how they've approached the games. They haven't, obviously, in the Conference League, they've won all their games. You could tell the early part of the season, they were struggling to balance playing on Thursday, Wednesday versus and adding playing in the Premier League as well. So that was why I thought they struggled in the early part of the season. But once they started going, I've been quite impressed with how they've managed being in Europe and being in the Premier League. And they confidently stayed up in the Premier League. So that was quite, it's been an amazing season for them.
Gbamm, I mean, you have to say that, one of the key things with regards to entering into European competition, for teams like Man City, for the big teams, the big six or whatever you want to call them. It's easy. They have the resources to have a big squad. But for your West Hams, your Brightons, they don't have a massive squad. So managing those resources shows just what a manager David Moyes is. And perhaps, the Man United appointment was a step too far, but this is under the shadow of Sir Alex, which I have my views about.
But was he given time though at United?
But that's the point. You will not be given time and all sorts of things. And this is probably a discussion for another show. But Niron, what did you think of this match? Because the match, I mean, it had everything. The decisive moments happened in the last half hour. The first 60 minutes was back and forth. But in the last half hour, it all took off. Niron, what did you think of the game?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. To be honest, it didn't really show that it was the third tier of European football that they were playing, honestly. Not the usual suspects when you talk about finals of a continental tournament in Europe. Fiorentina and West Ham, for instance. You take a look at where both of them are. To be honest, they're probably the same level in the Italian Serie A and, of course, the Premier League as well. Because I think Fiorentina were finished 7th or 8th. And then, of course, West Ham somewhere around there as well. So not the usual suspect. But at the end of the day, like you said, the first 60 minutes, back and forth, good exchange of hostilities. But the last 30 minutes, it all went bonkers.
West Ham scored. A penalty.
But you have to look at the penalty that was given as well. It took almost about 2 minutes before the game was, or like about a minute before the game was called back.
I think it's fair to say that VAR might have diminished the spectacle of football, but it certainly increased the drama.
Yeah, it does.
And the tension.
Absolutely. But we also need to look at it from the fact that it's also been very fair to the teams.
Indeed. But we need to take a break. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to ask a question after the break and tell you how to get in touch to win 1,000 Naira airtime. And the question really quickly is this. Our guest, Mr. Emmanuel Amuneke, was BBC Africa's Player of the Year in what year? In what year was Emmanuel Amuneke BBC Africa's Player of the Year? We'll tell you how to get in touch. First 10 people, call us with the answer, 1,000 Naira airtime. You're listening to the Loving Football Show here on Radio Now, 95.3 FM Lagos. Join us after these messages. Bam! You're back with us here on the Loving Football Show on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. I am Ayo Ali, your host for the Loving Football Show. As usual, we asked a question. First 10 people to dial in will win 1,000 Naira airtime, random. And the question was this. Our guest, who should be joining us momentarily, Emmanuel Amuneke, won the BBC Africa Player of the Year in which year? In which year did Emmanuel Amuneke win the BBC Africa Player of the Year? You can get in touch from outside Nigeria. Call us on WhatsApp. It's +234 703 137 3455. That is +234 703 137 3455. Nero, how do they get in touch with us in Nigeria?
From Nigeria, it's 0913 5000 953. 0913 5000 953. You can also get in touch with us on 0901 111 1953. That's 0901 111 1953.
Fantastic. Thank you. So we are joined by Mr. Emmanuel Amuneke, who is currently in Spain, I think. Yeah. Emmanuel, good evening.
Are you seeing me? Good evening.
We're not seeing you, but we are hearing you very well.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Well, I
think the video might be. He might have possibly,
turned off the video. Maybe enable your video.
Yeah, we'll get him back in a second.
Okay, we'll get him back in a second with video. But just to give you some background, I think it's fair to say that Emmanuel, and I could be wrong, but Emmanuel is right now a coach, a highly qualified coach. In fact, he's the most qualified coach in Nigeria, to the best of my knowledge. He has a UEFA Masters Coaching license. That's one, the Baba of all Baba coaching licenses. He did the course with Jose Mourinho, and, you know, he's been a successful coach of our national team, the last Nigerian coach to win an actual World Cup. Under 17s, yes, but, you know, it's still the last time we won an actual World Cup. And as a player, can Nigerians forget the goal he scored in 1996 to win us Olympic gold? Emmanuel, I hope you can hear us now. You're back with us?
You, but I'm trying to connect to my video and mine is not showing. Hold on.
No problem. If you can't connect to... Okay.
No,
if you can't,
I'm coming.
You're here?
Yes.
We can see you. We can hear you and we can see you. Good evening, Emmanuel. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you? You're in Spain, I believe.
Yeah, I'm in Spain.
You're currently in Spain. Okay, great. Yeah. Fantastic. We thank you for joining us so much. You know, we're really honored to have you on the show. Really, I think for the first few minutes, I personally would like to get your technical expertise about the upcoming Champions League final, Saturday, Istanbul, Man City, the juggernaut against Inter Milan. You know, how do you see the game playing out tactically? You follow this competition, obviously. You're not familiar with the team. So please give us your analysis, Emmanuel.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I will start by saying I think it's going to be a very great game. Why am I saying this? When we look at the style and the way Man City play, and then we look at the way also Inter Milan play, you find out that both teams, they have different style of playing. But what made it so special is that when we look at the semi-final against Real Madrid, the first leg, Man City, you know, they went into the game a little bit of conserved. They don't want what happens to them in the previous year to occur again, where they opened the game and then they were able to concede a lot of goals. So they were very careful, having it in mind that if they can, you know, pick a point in Madrid and then take the game to Manchester City, I think they have the chances of winning, and that is exactly what they did. You know, this game is it's going to be a different game. Why am I saying this in terms of, you know, in the final, there's a whole lot of things happening in a final game, and one mistake can easily, you know, condemn you. Either you win or you lose. But on paper, I think Man City, you know, they are the dominant. They have their, you know, they have the in terms of the capacity to win the game, and everybody expect them to win this game. But there is one thing, you know, I have observed in Man City recently, and you know, they keep on modifying their style of playing. They keep on changing the system. When we look at their game against Real Madrid, mostly in the second leg, we find out that most of the time it's like kind of they are playing with three backs.
Yeah.
Where you have John Stone
coming forwards and going backwards.
Coming into the middle to create more superiority in numbers. And then this, you know, give them more stability in terms of defending, and also gives them more stability in offensive aspect.
And the transition. The
transition. Why am I saying this? It gives Gundogan the more chance. It gives Kevin Bruno. It gives Haaland more chances to move in the middle. Not just spending. Then you have Rodri, who is like kind of a man, you know, that is doing most of the dirty job, recovering the ball and then trying to keep the game simple. I think, you know, Man City, they have over the years, but which is not new in terms of the philosophy Guardiola has. I think this is all the way from Barcelona. And there is something they said in Barcelona when I was there, that how can we collectively, you know, achieve our objectives without undermining the individual quality? And this is exactly what Man City is playing, you know, where everybody is functioning, but you could still see those special players, you know, doing special things and contributing a lot. So it's a very, 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 very interesting final. But I tell me.
Can I ask? I mean, I'm going to bring in Nero in a second, but can I ask, if you were managing Inter, how would you play Man City?
It's got to be a very it's got to be a very difficult game. Well, I think psychologically, the way the Man City play psychologically, they created an awareness where most teams, don't want to go toe-to-toe with them because they realize, going toe-to-toe with them, they might possibly lose the game. So most teams, what they are doing is trying to make sure they defend very well, and I expected the game on Saturday to be on the same direction. Inter Milan is going to make sure they defend, they have patience, they defend, they make sure that all the possible spaces that Man City can exploit, they are going to make sure they close it. And then they're going to play on counter-attack with Martinez and Zeko. I think this is what I'm expecting from them, because I don't expect them trying to control the game. I don't expect them trying to dominate the game, which is one of the strengths for Man City, because they like to have the ball. They like to dictate the game with the ball. And they also have one thing. Man City, they are not a team when you put them under pressure in times of, they are not comfortable in defending. So they have been able to create an awareness in times of, they use the ball to dictate the pace of the game. They also use the ball to defend when they have the ball.
Yeah, interesting. Yola, do you have any questions you'd like to get?
No, I was going to ask a similar question, actually. Like, what can Inter Milan do to approach this game? But another point is, obviously everyone expects Man City to go into this game and win. If that doesn't happen, where does Guardiola as a manager go from here? If he's unable to still deliver the Champions League when everyone around the world expects them to do the job on the day?
Well, I think it will be a disappointing scenario for him and also for the team. We should also take it back last final they played against Chelsea. The same scenario, everybody believes that they are going to win. But at the end of the day, they lost that game. So this is the same scenario we are seeing. But I think Guardiola, is more matured into the game. And he's more, in terms of his tactical approach, he's more conservative in terms of what kind of players am I bringing in terms of that can do the job. But I think in his mind, he wants to win this because it's a kind of a load that you have at the back of your mind. You have been, everybody is talking about it. Everybody is talking how good your team is. Everybody is talking what you have done in Barcelona. Everybody is talking what you have done in Bayern Munich.
The weight of expectations, I believe, is what they call it. Nero, really quickly, because we have to go to the break in a couple of minutes. Do you have any questions for Emmanuel?
Yeah,
about
Emmanuel,
the final.
Nice to have you once again on our show. Let me just ask straight away, how do you think that Guardiola will approach this game? Do you think he's going to go all guns blazing, try to get his team to get a goal as early as possible so that he can settle into it? Or do you think he's going to approach the game cautiously, just like he did against Real Madrid?
Okay, 1 minute, please, Emmanuel.
Well, I think he's going to approach it cautiously, having it in mind that this is a final and there is no need for you to make a mistake. And bearing it in mind also, knowing the opponent that he's playing against. So he's going to approach it with cautiously, but having it in mind also, he wants to win. So if they can get early goal, that will be an advantage to them.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Listen, I could listen to you all day and ask you questions about Champions League final. Unfortunately, we are constrained for time. So after the break, Emmanuel will take some questions from our audience and interact with you. You're listening to the Loving Football Show here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Join us after these messages.
Stay tuned to your Beyond the News station daily for our up-to-the-minute compact news bulletins from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., bringing you a wide range of local and international news from our news desk. Stay informed, stay updated on Radio Now 95.3 FM. For your daily dose of the news, information, and relaxing fun, stay glued to Radio Now 95.3 FM all day, every day.
This is Adiola Jai, the founder of Adiola Jai Foundation. You're listening to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
The news that matters the most is the news that hits closest to home. If it touches your business, your family, your city, your schools, or your safety, we've got you covered. Everything that affects you is our concern. So we go beyond, getting all the facts and serving you news and information you can trust.
There was 10 million liters of fuel made available at some point, which was not made available at the time because obviously it had to be bought.
The attack is Kayo village, Keru, and the Takalafia village yesterday is one of the many attacks.
Radio Now, 95.3 FM Lagos, beyond the news.
We are Radio Now, 95.3 FM Lagos.
Gbamm, and welcome back to the Loving Football Show here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Once again, we're joined by Emmanuel Amuneke. Our special guest has given us some expert tactical and technical analysis of what to expect for the Champions League final. We have asked the question. I'm going to repeat the question and tell you how to get in touch. You can win 1,000 Naira airtime. I have a couple of answers already by comments on WhatsApp. So the question is this: in what year did Emmanuel Amuneke win the BBC African Player of the Year? In what year did Emmanuel win the BBC African Player of the Year? And the number to get in touch with, if you're outside Nigeria, is +234 703 137 3455. Nero, if you're inside Nigeria?
Yeah, if you're in Nigeria, numbers to reach us on are 0913 5000 953. That's 0913 5000 953. You can also reach us on 0901 111 1953. That's 0901 111 1953.
Fantastic. So, well, we'll dive straight back into the program. So, Emmanuel, you know, we have a tradition on the Loving Football Show. It means everybody must show their colors. So today, I'm supporting Niger. I'm a Liverpool fan, and everybody knows it. Who do you support? When you were a kid, Barcelona.
When I was a kid, actually, well, I was more focused on Nigerian football.
Okay.
I was supporting Julius Berger because I used to have a brother then, a neighbor that used to play for Julius Berger then. When the boss used to come and pick them for training, you know, and we were nursing that ambition, saying to ourselves, I would love to play for Julius Berger one day. And eventually I played for them before I left Nigeria.
Fantastic, fantastic. But as an adult, what team do you support now? What, you know?
Well, I'm a Barcelona fan, but I'm not too crazy about. I just want to enjoy good football.
Okay.
I'm a Barcelona fan.
Like I don't like to enjoy good football.
No, Yola is an Arsenal fan through and through. He cannot allow Arsenal to be criticized on here.
No, it's because of your actually, let's not get into our
but I feel sorry for them. I think they deserve the league. They worked so hard, but unfortunately, towards the ending, they missed that.
Thank you. I hope you tried to explain to Ayo, but it doesn't.
I hope you heard from somebody who is more tactical and technical than us.
And perhaps more diplomatic than all of us. I think it's fair to say, right? I think it's fair to say. But yeah, so just coming back to the other thing that we do on this show is that we believe that people should come and nail their trousers to the mast. So we all make predictions for the games that we analyze. Yeah. So we have previously made predictions, but what we're going to do is we're going to cancel them out. And we're, at the end of this period, we will make predictions for this game at the end of this period before we go to the break. But I just received a voice note, which I listened to during the break, which was actually a question for Emmanuel, but it's about the Super Eagles. So we'll get to that. Hopefully we can talk about Nigerian football at some period. And I know our listeners have questions about Nigerian football. Our listeners are football-loving Nigerians, so I'm sure hopefully we'll answer some questions about Nigerian football and so on and so forth. But
I have questions too. You forgot to say that I mentioned.
I know, of course, you have questions. Okay, that's given. So I'm going to skip over you and go to Nero.
And then Ayo, let me just quickly say, I don't know whether it's one of our regular listener just sent in a response to that teaser that the question that you put up there about Amuneke. Do you want me to read it out? You sent it to our WhatsApp here.
Yes, I have 2 WhatsApp messages with answers. You can read it out or not. So, I mean, I don't know. In fact,
do you have any from Gerald?
I have no. I have from Peter.
Okay. I have from Gerald. So if you want me to read it out.
Week. So okay, if you have one from Gerald, that's
Okay, so let me just read it out. So Gerald says here, lovely evening to you all in the studio at Gbamm Loving Football. The answer to your question is Emmanuel Amuneke won the BBC African Footballer of the Year in 1994. And he says, my name is Gerald. I'm a goalkeeper from Aguda.
Okay, well, we have an answer. I'll read out mine. It is from our one of our winners last week. This is Peter from Shango Tedu. Oboniolo from Shango Tedu. Shango. Look, is it Yoruba pronunciation or is it Ibadan pronunciation you want? I beg, free me. Ibadan Yoruba, okay. Omo Ibadan kini so. Yeah, so Peter, his answer was this. BBC African Footballer of the Year was in 1996. So we have 2 answers. There you go. Google is your friend. You can always Google. Just get in touch with us.
Yeah, you're even giving them expo.
I know. Am I allowed to answer this week?
No, you can't. You can answer, but then you have to pay all the prizes.
Okay. I know.
All right, so, yeah. All right. So, Yola, do you have any questions for Emmanuel with regards to this upcoming Champions League final?
The Champions League final. No, I think I asked my question earlier on. But I have questions in relation to Nigeria and also your playing career. Actually,
okay.
Can I ask my question now?
You can. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, this is me confessing. So my earliest memory of watching Nigerian football was when I got into Nigerian football was that Tunisia '94 squad. And that for me has been the benchmark of every Nigerian team since. So when I'm watching it and I'm comparing how we play with that team, I don't think any Nigerian squad has come close since.
Okay.
There were so many great players in that whole system and in the USA '94 squad as well. Just from your perspective, who would you say is the best Nigerian player that you have ever played alongside of all the great players that played in that team?
And why?
Exactly?
There are so many.
I know.
There are so many, and it's very difficult to select one. Why am I saying this? I think that generation is we just came at the right time with different talent and different behaviors of the game, and everybody tries to put his own quality to make it to be special, that team. So it's very difficult. When you talk about Finidi, I was admiring Finidi, the way he crosses the ball. you know. And then when you go to look at the up front, you look at Yekini that will tell you, we speak Yoruba to you, we say, Baba, just put the ball there, I will be there. So there are so many great players that it's very difficult to say this is the best. But at the end of the day, you know, what matters is that there was this mutual respect from those playing and those that are not playing, to understand that even if I'm not playing, the guy that is playing is also is a very good player and he deserves to be playing. Just like I myself, you know, I never played any game till the final.
Yeah.
And I remember when the coach told me 2 days to the game that you'll be playing in the final, and I was kind of, is this man kidding or what? but at the end of the day, you know, I played, and I just took it as a responsibility to contribute my part, because that team was so much. We have so many talented players in that team.
Fantastic. I have a voice note question from a listener in Paris. So let me just play that for you quickly. It's a question about Nigerian football.
Good evening, Coach. My name is Ojoro Babatunde of OJP Sport, and I'm joining in from Paris, France.
Can you hear?
About the Nigerian matter, Coach, I would like to know what's the difference between the 1994 set, Super Eagles 94 set, and current group of players. I'm asking that because a lot of football fans seems to use that set as the bedrock for any Super Eagles player or as a team right now. They compare them easily to that team, forgetting that things that worked then are not working now in the national team. So what will you say? What do you think is lacking in this current Super Eagles team that they don't that the 94 set had, that they don't have this current set of players that we have in the Super Eagles? Thank you.
He's putting you on the spot, Emmanuel, huh?
Yeah. What I can actually say about this, his question is that, you know, one thing in football is that if you look over the years, football has evolved a lot. And there has been a lot of changes into football. And every generations are totally different, you know. Our generation, when we came on board, I could say, I think it was when Nigerian football is beginning to rise. With the help of Stephen Keshi, may he so rest in peace, that, you know, opens the eyes of many Nigerian players that wants to travel outside and have that experience. And when you look at that time, you can bring a player from even the local league to the national team, and they can fit in, and they played very well. But over the years, the game has evolved. And what we have a lot to do is that we have not been able to aid our young players to be in a position to compete. When I talk about compete, I personally, as a player, I have always said it, I can go to anywhere and tell people I want to try for screening. And once you give me the opportunity, I will make the team. But all those things are no longer existing. So we need to develop our football. Why am I saying develop our football? From tactical point of view, most of our players, it is true that we are talented, but I can guarantee you talent cannot win you anything. If you are talented, there are other factors, there are other components that you need to complement with your talent to make you to become much better players. In terms of, for example, when you talk about tactical decisions, tactics is decisions making, knowing where to lose the ball, where not to lose the ball, knowing when to release the ball, when not to release the ball. So when our younger players, you know, go through this process, they can, you know, they start to see the game from different point of view. When I was coaching the under-17, this is one of the, you know, factors I introduced into the team. Every week we used to go to class 3 times in a week. I want the players to really to understand what is tactics. You know, we hear tactics. Even some people believe that tactics is just the system of the game, 4-4-2, whatever we can call. But, you know, system of the game is just initial stage to identify a player where he will be functioning. But when you talk about tactics, you're talking about the movement on the ball and off the ball, how you defend as a team when you don't have the ball, and also how you attack as a team when you have the ball without losing the structure of the team. So all these things need to be taught. And this is where the Europeans, they are ahead of us, because most of the young players in Europe, they started learning the tactics when they are 5-6 years. So by the time they get to 13 years, or basically, they understood what the game is demanding from them. I think these are things that we are lacking. And if we can invest a little bit on this aspect, I think, it will help our football, because we are naturally talented as a country and as a player.
Bam. I mean, I hope Nigerian football people are listening. Yeah, because that's what we're competing against. At 5-6 in Europe, they are learning tactics. It's not chopping swallow and shooting the ball hard. Anyway, on that controversial note, yes, I said it with my chest. On that controversial note, we're going to have to take a short break. Unfortunately, we're going to have to take a short break. After the break, Emmanuel will be taking your questions from the public, from you guys listening online. Get in touch. You're listening to the Loving Football Show here on Radio Now 95.3 FM. Join us after the messages. Bam! And welcome back to Loving Football Show here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos with our special guest, Emmanuel Amuneke, who shall be taking questions from you, our listeners, football-loving Nigerians. I have a question for you, Coach, from Adeola, who's based in London. Again, another coaching question. It seems that everybody wants to get to the value of your professional training, insight, and knowledge about coaching. So the question is this: how does a coach implement a coaching strategy or tactics in a national team, particularly when the time frame of gathering players usually isn't more than 2 to 4 days for a qualifying game?
Yeah. Well, I would say start by saying, in terms of how do a coach gather players 4 days to the game. I think when a coach is being appointed, I think the coach in question must have a clear ideas how he wants to, his teams to look like. And it's not just about assembling players. I think it's a long-time scouting program you have. Where maybe in a goalkeeping department, you have almost like 5-6 goalkeepers. And then you have to look at each goalkeepers individually and collectively, if they can fit into the philosophy that you really want to introduce in the team. The same thing goes to the right back. But that does not mean that those ones that you are not inviting, they are not in your plans, because they can still, be brought into the team as the team progresses. But it's a question of, having a clear pathway. What kind of players do you want in terms of when you have the ball, when you don't have the ball? Because one thing people fail to understand, that there are two key moments in a football game. It's when a team has the ball. What are they doing? And when a team does not have the ball, what are they doing? So you need characteristics of players. For example, you need players that can defend. You need players also that can, when you have the ball offensively. I give you example like Osimhen. We talk about
who you scouted Osimhen. You are the person who scouted Osimhen.
When we look at you're right. When we look at Osimhen, the way he plays, we realize that Osimhen is a player that moves a lot into space. And that is one of his quality. Apart from his technicality, ability that he has with the ball. But his major strength is moving to space. And then you need to ask, who are players that can, deliver those kind of ball to Osimhen, to space? So these are things you have to look into your team. You have to find balance. Defensively, midfield, offensive-wise, even those that are on the reserve bench, everybody must have the same clear pathway, what they need to do if they are being given opportunity or not.
I think it's fair to say that a national team is a team. The squad is not the 11 players on the pitch. No. We have several calls coming in. Yeah, so thank you for holding. we're going to move to the calls now.
Okay, we have a very first caller.
Good evening, Yola and Ayo. I'm speaking to the coach. My name is Oboyino Peter from Istanbul, Lagos, Nigeria.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Yes, let me go straight to my question. Coach, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm a big fan of yours, and I think I'm one of those that clamors for you to become the Super Eagles technical advisor. And my question is this: what do you think? Do you think that the Nigerian coach or the local coach can conquer the Super Eagles in super height to take Super Eagles as far as the final of the World Cup? And if that be over their technical advisor? And if today, let me say, you are made the technical advisor of the Super Eagles, what will you do different that will surpass the foreign technical advisor? Good evening, and finally, for Inter Milan, Man City game. My postulation is ready, but I won't say it now. I give it 1-0, 1-0 in favor of Inter over City. Good evening.
Good evening.
So there you have it, guys. Peter there.
Peter is putting you on. Everybody's putting you on the spot today.
Let me say that one, I always believe we have to, we have to believe in ourselves. And when you look all over the world, I could say that I'm privileged to have lived in Spain and been privileged to have attended a coaching course, in Spain here. And every country is trying to develop their people. The Spanish people we are looking today, the English people we are looking today, the Portuguese people we are looking today, they didn't just wake up and become what they are. There are institutions that represent the coaches, and the institutions, they labored so hard over here to make sure that, they put their coaches to be at the top. And I think it's the same direction that, we need to follow to help our coaches. I believe, you see, I'm somebody, I don't just jump into things. And even before I became a coach, one of my greatest doubt was, do I have the temperament to be a coach? Can I be a coach? And I have to, really ask myself. I took time to meditate about it. Finally, I decided that, I can be a coach. And one thing I told myself was, I don't want to come and coach as ex-international. I need to go to educate myself, to know what it requires to be a coach. Then I went through those things. I think if we can develop our coaches, put them at the right place constantly, I think they can grow. One thing we fail to realize is that we are expecting our players to be at the top. But if the teachers are not in a position to teach their students the right teaching, we don't expect the student to pass.
That's very true. We have so many more calls, Emmanuel. So can we just move quickly on to the calls, Nero?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's take the calls. Hello, good evening. Okay, we're just waiting for the call to come through from the other end. Okay, we can continue temporarily while we wait for the call.
Do you have any questions for Emmanuel Yola?
We're talking about
Super Eagles.
Okay, we have the call coming in now.
Okay, we have the call coming in. Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Really quickly, please.
We just lost that. So, okay.
Yeah, I think we had another question from Facebook from my older brother. He said, my question is on the current state of Nigerian football. We didn't qualify for the World Cup and we lost a few friendlies lately.
Oh, I have a call coming in.
Okay.
Continue your question.
All right.
Hold on.
Do you think that the current coach has improved in the team since we didn't qualify for the World Cup?
Well, I think the coach is doing his best. You see, I'm also a coach, and with all due respect, I respect my colleagues, and I don't like talking about them. The reason why I'm saying this was that I have also been privileged to travel out of Nigeria to go to other countries to coach. So I have so much respect to my colleagues. Coaching job is not an easy job. And whatever ideas that he is putting on board, all what we can say is that we hope the ideas can be fruitful to aid the players to be in a position to compete. I respect the coaches. I don't like going and talk about people if they are doing well or they are doing bad, because I myself also, there also been a time, maybe I'm not in a perfect situation to do my best, you understand? So I prefer to, to respect my colleagues in that aspect.
That's fair enough. I have another call. Oloye from Belgium. A lawyer from Belgium. He's a regular listening to the show. Good evening, Oloye. Do you have a question for Emmanuel?
Good evening, all. Emmanuel Amuneke.
Good evening, sir.
You made us proud. I think I met you once. I'm just passing a comment. I don't remember the year. You came from Barcelona. Do you still have your dog? Your dog there from Nigeria. That's like.
Very much.
To say hello to you there.
Okay. Fantastic. You have a question?
How can we set yourself in 94% now? What's happening? Just as if they're not Nigeria don't exist anymore. In those days when we came to Europe, when you say you are from Nigeria, super, they start calling your name Emmanuel Amuneke. But how can we have those people now? Thank you very much.
I think Ole wanted to know how we can take Nigerian football back to the glory days.
Okay,
but I think that's beyond the scope. Go on.
Just before we get Coach Amuneke to answer that, let me just quickly, we have a call who's been on hold, so let's just take his question.
He's got to be very quick because we have 2 minutes left.
Okay, so he's on. Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me. My name is Ben. Yeah, my name is Kennedy. I'm from Kurudu.
Kennedy.
Hello, my name is Ken. I'm from Kurudu.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Ken. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Yes. Good evening to the coach and great to be speaking with them. So my question is,
good evening.
How some players just to feel better, no matter the coach is hard work, you see some players. I look at people and I'm wondering how exactly this coach feeling. Because I can tell that you're going to work, but it looks like I think the player is able to be better. How does the coach react to that situation? I mean, the coach, how do you react? I'm sure you must have some players that just feel to be better. They're not taking instruction. I will see every time on TV. So I want to, look from the coach, from his experience.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut you off there, Ken, because we have 1 minute for Emmanuel to answer the question. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't get this question very well.
I didn't hear very well.
I think quickly, let me just put it to Coach Amuneke. He says when you have a player on the field and he's not playing to instruction, how does a coach react to that kind of situation? How do you manage that situation?
Well, if he's not playing to an instruction, you have to call him and then have a chat with him. I think football now is not just because you are a coach. You have to, be in a position to manage everything that is surrounding you, both positive and negative. You have to manage them. So when a player is not, playing to instruction, you have to discuss with him and know what is going on. And if he insists in doing that, then maybe you have to substitute him and bring in somebody else.
Okay, I have a question because this is going to be the last thing we say. The question is this: what is the best piece of advice a coach has ever given you as a player?
It's to work hard.
Fantastic. You've been listening to the Loving Football Show here on Radio Now. We have to thank our guest, Emmanuel Amuneke. The answer to the question that we asked for 1,000 Naira is he won the BBC Africa Footballer of the Year in 1996. So if you got that right, you got that right. Emmanuel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much, Coach Amuneke.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless. You've listened to Loving Football Show on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. I've been your host, Ayo Ali. Join us next week for the penultimate show, the final show of the season. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh boy. Calls it no. Ayo, yes, my take calls. Hello?
Yeah.
So we had a lot of calls coming